Hey guys, Jamie Ivey here, and I'm glad you're here for this bonus content from the Happy Hour podcast that I host every week. Recently, I sat down with Mark Clark, who is the author of this book, The Problem of Jesus, Answering a Skeptic's Challenges to the Scandal of Jesus. Highly, highly recommend this book. Highly recommend the podcast. If you're wondering, it's episode number 393. You can find it wherever you listen to podcasts. Just look up the Happy Hour with Jamie Ivey. But in this specific part, I pulled out of the show, and you can only watch it here. I asked Mark a question because he talks about in one of his chapters here about, he says the issue sometimes isn't if we're following Jesus, but why. And we had a conversation on the podcast about that. But then I asked him this question. I asked him, how do we as leaders keep our why are we following Jesus in check? And here's what he said.
Yeah, that's great. I think when you start to find yourself losing, like the distinction I make is ministry, running a church is different than Christianity. And what I mean by that is like I like to think about, people who I'm hiring to be a pastor or something, and I'll meet them over Zoom because they're mobile or something. And I'll be like, what is your greatest, what's your skill set? What are your competencies? And they'll say, well, I like to hang out with people. I like to journey with people. I'm like, I can't pay you to be a Christian, bro.
You're like, that's just the Christian life.
Yeah, exactly. That's what everyone should be doing. What am I giving you a paycheck for? That's my question. There is a difference between Christianity and ministry in the sense of like running a church or whatever. And if I find myself confusing and finding myself more excited about running a church or running an organization or running a podcast than I do about Jesus himself, then I should probably either repent and get back online or quit the thing that's making me do that. Mm-hmm. I've always said the minute I get any sense that my three daughters, I didn't grow up in the church, right? So pastoring to me is not a venerate. Like, I don't care about Like, I just go, there's days I just want to quit and go work in insurance. I'm like, whatever. I don't, and people are like, you can't, you have 9 campuses across Canada. Wow. I'm like, yeah, well, don't want to, I'm bored or, whatever. It's like, I didn't grow up, I know it's like, oh, the pastor's coming. All my buddies who grew up in church, and he'd walk through the lobby and you could
yeah, right.
feel his presence. And I'm like, this is a job it's a calling, of course, it's something beautiful. But, so in that sense, it's like, I've always said, if my daughters start not wanting to follow Jesus because something's weird about being a pastor and, having a job in the church, and that's somehow negatively affecting them, I'd walk away from it in a second, because it's more important that they love Jesus than they love, the job behind, not that they would walk away from the church,
right,
but the job of, doing the church. So anyway, all that to say, I agree with you. And I think we constantly have to go inside of ourselves and go, just be checking our motivations. Like, am I actually doing this for the mission of Jesus in the world, or am I doing this for the mission of Mark in the world?
Yeah. It's a tough spot. I've seen some people close to me fall to, and a leader that I didn't personally know last year who was running a ginormous organization, and he didn't have accountability because he died before everything, could come out. And I think about that and I'm like, man, how does someone continue to build the kingdom and live a life that looks nothing like Jesus? It literally makes my brain kind of explode. And then it puts like the fear of God in me. And I'm like, okay, I do not want to end up like that. And so I think it's true too, to hold what you do as your job as a thing. And I think no matter where Aaron and I always said, no matter where we worked, like I was a teacher before.
And I think you do it well and I think this is one thing I've tried to do in my life is be authentic, be real, be broken, be open, show people like I lead with the limp, and don't get people to think I'm their hero. Because here's one of the things I've learned. Someone once said, I forget who it was, those whom people idolize, they will one day demonize. So here's the thing. Every person who walks up to me at church and goes, you changed my life. That was the greatest sermon of all time. A clock starts in my brain. Tick, 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 tick. Of the day I get the email, I hate you and your church, bro. You don't hang out with my family, whatever. So in the same way, I try to go, guys, I am not your hero. I'm a total disaster. Like I was telling you before we started, like I grew up when my parents got divorced. I got Tourette syndrome and obsessive compulsive disorder, which remains with me to this day. I twitch my face around. I got crazy habits. I'm the last guy. Like I'm telling you that 1 Corinthians 1, like God uses the foolish things of the world. I'm the biggest, the Greek word there is moron. You know, I did Greek for 3 years. So I'm the biggest, like Jamie, I used to, when I was 10 years old, I used to stand at the bus stop. And so because of my Tourette's, one of my habits for 5 years, I used to swear, right? I just like F-bomb, like F, I just like sit at a bus stop and go F, F, like not the letter F. I'm trying to be good for your listeners.
Right.
The last job you get in the world when you randomly throw F-bombs around is a preacher. It makes no sense what I do for a living. It's not because of me. It's in spite of me. The amount of times God has used me and my silliness and my dumbness, because now I'm up on a screen. My head's not like a foot big. It's 20 feet big on people's screens, and I'm still twitching my face around. I'm like, I can't even look at this. This is awful. How would God ever use this? And he just continues to do it. And that's why I'm constantly like, you know what? I just keep reminding myself how dumb I am, how silly I am, and how I got 15 minutes and then nobody's going to care and everyone's going to hate me. If that's not cynical enough for you, Jamie.
It's okay. We got to keep ourselves where we need to be. Okay, friends, if you want to hear that whole episode, go anywhere you listen to podcasts and find the Happy Hour with Jamie Ivey, episode number 393 with Mark Clark. And again, I think I won't forget that he said, running a church is different than Christianity. Wow. Guys, wow. I highly recommend this book. Go pick it up if you want to get it. It is The Problem of Jesus, answering a skeptic's challenges to the scandal of Jesus. Thanks for watching this exclusive bonus content from our podcast, The Happy Hour with Jamie Ivey. If you like it, give us a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see all of the bonus content that we're bringing you. Thanks, guys.